I shouldn't have to be doing this like it's story time, but a lot of people don't get it. And normally I don't try to do these longer cryptic wisdoms, at least until I get my mouth fixed. But that just means I'm letting the insecurity of my lisp due to my dental problems affect me. And I'm all about not letting insecurities affect you. So, and on top of that, I've already heard all the insults and whatever, old news. So, can't handle how I talk? Fuck them. I shouldn't have to turn to do a cryptic wisdom to explain things for people who aren't so wise. But everyone else is resorting to talking, screenshotting, screen recording, bullying, and wars online. So why not let a professional handle it? See, Catherine made the mistake, as did so many people before her. Specifically the likes of Trista, my ex, and my ex Lucressa. Their mistake wasn't directly related to who they were. Their mistake was they took what they knew and they flipped. They took what they knew and they flipped. But I don't blame them. Because what do I do before any interaction? I said the same thing I've been saying for 10 years now, since I was 16. You can claim and act like a good person and talk like I don't have flaws that are going to erupt. I tell people from the start, eventually, people are temporary. Eventually, people turn on each other. Eventually, there's going to be something that's going to push someone away. But they don't believe me. That's on them. But what I don't understand, or maybe don't want to understand, is that how someone can still make a critical decision and people turn on you faster. You see, because TikTok, my God, TikTok is a wonderful place. It's not a real place, but it's different. Because you can log on, watch underage women shake their ass, while people who are speaking on important issues get silenced. You can watch people go on live, boxes of 9, all bullying someone. The problem with that is, on live, you have an option to hit a button, to mute, to boot, to cancel, to quiet, to silence, to eradicate. You can't do that in real life. See, the problem is Catherine couldn't handle that she wasn't involved in what I got going on. And I don't have to say that for the truth, because nowadays people's actions are reading more truth than I could ever notice or say. So this has come from her own actions. She was trying so desperately to replace my queen. There is not a single planet, an era, a timeline where she could. Good leg or not, she couldn't replace my queen 100 years ago. She couldn't do it now. She couldn't do it 100 years later. She couldn't have done it in the Renaissance, in the Viking era, never. And not because of anything about her, but because she deflected. So let's get this out the way. I know everything that I am. I know I can be a piece of shit. I know I'm a bona fide asshole. I know I've been a liar, I've been a cheater, I've been a deceiver, I've been a seducer. So you can't expose me when I already have that in the open. And that's what keeps me going. Because I'd rather be an honest sinner than a lying saint. Catherine's throwing up this facade that can only be done on social media. You can throw up a cute song, a filter, and a caption, and put on this fake alpha female personality, which she does not have in real life. Because do you know how many times she has been on that live, have been through less, and over here crying and pleading to kids that aren't even in the same house as her, who are crying and pleading and pondering life. Need I remind you, this is the same woman who ended up having to camp in a tent because of her mistakes, got knifed in her leg from her mistakes, dumped two dudes, her mistakes, then invites one over for a week. He threatens to abuse her, and yet the whore is still indebted to the abuser, like it's Stockholm Syndrome. I may not be a Lion King, but that, Catherine, is a fucked up circle of life. But then I see you kind of have to be who you are for people around you to be in their own circles. Because let's put this into perspective, since everyone's like hypotheticals. Your kids couldn't be in your household with all the shit you were going on. Because when you end up in a tent, you would have been a shameful parent to have your kids with you through all that. But thank God you are going through a midlife crisis at some point in some way, and your kids are grown, making their own decisions. Thank God for them. Because all the disdain isn't on them, all the disdain is on you. Because Catherine's almost making my mother seem like the mother of the year without the drugs and the alcohol. But I guess in a way, the difference is my mom knows of her demons. Catherine still goes on acting like she's an advocate for mental health. Let me point out why that's not true. Advocates for mental health do not call someone darker than them a nigger with the hard R when one, they're Middle Eastern, and the you're still technically black argument doesn't fucking count. And when you are whiter than the cum between your teeth from both dudes you're banging in your parents' house. So you can't be an advocate for mental health when you're throwing slurs, especially when you're safe behind a screen, because I'm not one to hide. If we were in public at some random plaza, even if whether you knew me or not, if that N-word would have been dropped, you would have been dropped. Equal rights, equal fights. But nowadays, we're in a society where everyone's sensitive. That's abusive. That's misogynist. No. You're going to talk to me a certain way. You're going to get treated accordingly. The difference is people who know me will always know and see my actions are justified. Unlike some people. Because there have been times I've left the comfort of my home to deal with an issue. So it's on the record that I handle my business. Ghost and all them, they don't get it. Because the funny thing is, does it really matter if I go to find you? Last I checked, I got a lot of shit going. So last I checked, whether if I have a life or not, I got more to lose now. But I'm not going to throw it away for some random Hispanic dude who's all bark, no bite. Especially on behalf of the issue that he was looped into when he couldn't get my age right in the first place. And yet that community is for mental health. That community is hypocrisy. That community that Catherine seems to have built up, it's a lie. It's an insecurity to help insecurities. It's a mirror. It's a facade. It's not real. Because like I said, if you're for mental health, you don't use slurs. You don't get on lives berating people when they don't when it's an unfair. Because the live I was in, she was able to sugarcoat as much as she could and get someone who wanted to know me on her side and against me. Typical. But once again, not the first person to do that. Because I don't understand where people are getting this idea that I'm trying to make myself out to be omnipotent or a badass. Because the funny thing is, when we were all on the same page, it was the same things being said on my behalf. Don't fuck with him. He's very intelligent. He's very wise. And all these accolades. But the moment you become an enemy, here's what you don't realize. Here's what Catherine still doesn't realize. The moment you become an enemy, how you flip and become an enemy says a lot about you when you were a friend. Either way, it puts her at a disadvantage. Because one, when she flipped like a reciprocal, it became, I'm not shit, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that. All the admiration became opposite. Or in the other side of that coin is that if she didn't say all that because she felt that way, that would mean she was lying when she was giving me this admiration when we were friends, which means she was a snake all the way through. And it makes sense. Because look what happened with Melissa, of all people, too. Melissa wants to sleep with the devil. Her kids admire the devil. She offers the hand to help the devil. Goes quiet. Makes up life events that aren't happening to justify what she's already getting into. Gets engaged and still deludes her mind to think it won't impact her helping the devil. Lies. And that's not because of anything she did. I will not listen to your seductive words and your offerings of generosity when all that is solemnly set. That spotlight is specifically put on me, even when I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for it. But for you to then switch without explanation and all that, you lied to the devil. And see, me calling myself the devil isn't to make myself seem violent, unhinged, or I could ruin someone's life. That's beside the point. It's because people put me on the same pedestal with the same amount of hate as people like murderers or terrorists. Huh. You could put a school shooter, Jeffrey Dahmer, Hitler, all in the same category, and there are people who villainize me so much, they'll throw me in that category irrationally, and that's the problem I have. Because Catherine will never understand. See, she can talk about pulling up, no matter where it's at, but it's been already known. I offer a fair fight. And here's the funny thing. Here's why more of her lying attributes are coming through. So many times, this bum-legged woman has said, "Oh, if something happens or you need me, I'll be right there. I'll find a way there." But when it comes to a fair fight, that offer is strictly declined, which means the woman with a broken pussy is indeed a pussy. The funny thing about the issues people have with me and I have with them, their issues with me are vocalized. My issues with them are in their own actions, and actions speak louder than words. Because I don't think people understand the gravity of Catherine, Ghost, Sam, and all them. Talk shit. They post, they expose, they exploit. They are not even the first of a million people to do it. So posting our screenshots of our conversations, acting like you're tough, calling me a coward. Let me ask you something. Other than finding it absurd, does it look like it has affected me? Bank accounts not affected. Livelihoods not affected. Living situation not affected. Friend zone not affected. My food and drinking not affected. Finances not affected. Transportation not affected. Do you know where all those people that have originally called me cowards and played the same game they're playing are? I don't even know either. Because they faded. I'm creating chaos that I can deal with, but that people won't finish. People are starting what they can't finish. And it's not about finishing because they eventually fade away. I'm prominent because I'm everywhere, because of that trigger warning, because of the controversy, because of the shock value. I'm everywhere because I inject myself in everywhere. I put myself in every position because the world is hell. Now, it seems like people are still in this mindset of they're gonna post screenshots, screen record. Yeah, good on you. Because if this was 100 years ago, before you can screen record everything, you either get shot in town, or you get your home burnt in the woods, or you stay the fuck away. Nowadays, everyone is safe from behind their phone screen. And like I said, my address is public, and no one showed up to do anything about it. People within a drive to have the gas money don't. So why would I think some Hispanic from California who got no life, who claims who has one, who really doesn't, would be worth a fight, sanctioned, legal or not? All he can do, post, call me a coward. Same old record being played on the same old machine by the same old cunt over and over and over. Catherine can stuck bouncing around between boy toy to boy toy in a leg she can barely hobble on. And like I said before, she failed her mother. She failed her father. She failed her children. She's failing her community. And all that bundled up, her kidneys are failing her. Isn't that a beautiful way to go through life? Because Bianca was right about one thing with Catherine. she'll eventually turn because she doesn't get her way. She couldn't replace a queen. She can say that wasn't her goal, but how she talked to others, how she asked people to still call her a certain name, her actions spoke more truth than those lips ever could. Mama cat, in this case, curiosity has done killed the cat. The Catherine's leading this revolution, she thinks. She thinks she's a visionary, an advocate. Mental health advocates don't use racial slurs, especially when they're all pissed and their tampons are on fire and they're going through menopause. Advocates don't bully people and battle on live, where if you are losing the argument, you can click a button and you can get them off a screen. And then guess what? You can block them and you can continue doing your streams talking shit when there's no one to stop you. And I'm the coward. My weapon is this. See, the difference is people use this as an escape. People use a screen as a fantasy to hide behind. This is my weapon. This is my tool. And people think I do it for clout. No, I'm not doing this for good people. I'm not doing this for the people that have their shit together. I'm not doing this for the snakes and the cowards. I'm not doing this for the families or whatever people claim to build a cult on social media. No. Because if some fickle-minded people will remember, I didn't want to do TikTok to the extent where I became popular. I did it because videos were cool to make. Simple. I didn't care about comments, views, followers. I made videos like a bunch of people do. But what happened? People started to gravitate towards me for reasons I don't fully understand either. Thus, King Ripsaw was born. And now I'm doing this for the black sheep, all the misfits, all the rebels, all the renegades, all the troubadours, all the outcasts, all the lonely, all the broken, but ones that know their worth and don't put on a mask other than their basic shyness. See, Catherine can throw on whatever filter she wants, put whatever caption that basically sums up fuck around and find out, which does not work on social media. She can throw on whatever community she has. She can get whatever member of that community to run their mouth. Unless it's done through words, nothing they say will or ever matters. Because you're an advocate. Here's what you should have done. Because I blocked Catherine and a bunch of people to prevent this from happening. I blocked them because I needed to take a step back, find out who to trust. If she would have kept her worth and been who she said she was, I would have already had her in the Rhyolite still. Nope. Instead, what happened? A full moon to where people lost their shit. And then it's the same record. People idolize me, but they're at their breaking point, and I push them harder, just a little, to make them stronger. And what do? They flip. But my wisdom is appreciated by snakes who take it only at their convenience. Annalise was the same record. All her flaws and problems that she gets into and that gets under her in or out of their control. Instability. Once you have instability, everything else is a domino effect. And I point that out. See, people always want to talk about, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They know. If you know, why are you still repeating the same mistakes? Because if you notice, some people are in their predicament just because they met me. I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for people to come across state to meet me when they know me off TikTok. I didn't ask for people to care if I trust them or not, or vice versa. I don't care. Because all the incarnations of the Rhyolites have ended up the same. It started all the same way. And look where everyone's at. Amanda and Asher are doing their own things. Shantae is a volatile marriage, now dating a sex offender. Nina is claiming she's neutral when she's not. Elizabeth, little devil, is start going through her same mental rut. Mother of Dragons Elizabeth flipped on me because I used the last resort. See, and that's another problem. Every enemy I made, the situation gets worse because people poke and poke and poke. I'm never the first to start an issue, but I will throw gasoline on the fire and make it worse. Because Catherine wants to get mad about me bringing up her kids. Oh. First of all, last I checked, your kids are alive. They just have want nothing to do with you because you're in a shitty circumstance. You've been in shitty circumstance, state to state to state, tent to tent to house. You're not at your mom's because she's helping you. You're leeching because you can't do it anywhere else, Catherine. Because if that was the case with your mental health community, wouldn't you have assistance with Sam or Ghost? Wouldn't you have people that would help for just charity? Once again, your actions give me answers that your TikToks don't show. Just like Mother of all Dragons, other Elizabeth. It is never okay to bring up someone's kids. How about this? If you have to tell me that something I'm doing is wrong when I know it's wrong, and I know I'm doing it, I want you to get a dude to hit it from behind, come on your shoulder blades, get a sheet, lay it over your back so it has a cape, and you can call yourself super obvious. No shit. I don't do this shit without knowing. I do it because it's poked and prodded, because I do everything provoked. I took a train to someone for bringing up my kid, not because they brought him up, because they're not the first person to do it. I took a chain to him because I stood by one thing. Say something again, I'm going to do something about it. Simple. It wasn't, they could have said anything. They could have said they don't like my t-shirts. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I stuck on my word. It had nothing to do with what was said. Because I blocked Catherine to get space. And the entire community of minions and wannabes and light-skinned losers decided to talk shit. Get my age wrong, which is one thing, and call me a crybaby. Like I don't vent and post every screenshot. See, I post proof of the conversations and the snakes I deal with to raise awareness. Then people make it a war, and then now I'm starting a war. You see, I brought up her kids because I sat by idly, quiet, letting her and that community of sex offenders, wannabes, and all that. I let them run their mouths. I let them sit idly by. And for what? But they kept running their mouths. Because they know behind the screen there won't be any consequences. And the funniest thing about that is a famous book by my people highlights that actions have consequences. Where? The Book of the Dead. See, because one of the passages that's labeled to the history of some people buried is a scribe, Happy. He was legendary while he was alive, but then his death led by people poking and prodding and then made the villain. See, a lot of those people that were sitting idly by Catherine in that community was running their mouth, saying stuff that's been said by hundreds of people before them because they can't say something original. Instead, they resort to bullying people in a box where they can control someone's microphone. How brave. Where was that box when you could moderate and boot someone when, Catherine, when you were getting a knife shoved in your leg because you stuck your nose in business for people who had no business needing the help of you? You can't help people when you can't help yourself. Hell, you became my mother. I'm gonna alert people that this boy toy that I like is staying for the week. But I'm also gonna tell you guys that he threatened to put his hands on me. If you villainize me so much that you're not gonna listen to basic advice and you let that happen, I don't care if it turns into a sexual assault, abuse, or he throws you down the mountain you claim to live at. You knew better, which means if it happened, bitch, you deserve it wholeheartedly. You deserve all the gods to sit by and even watch and agree with something bad happening to you. Because I said before, I'm the Robin Hood of misfits. I hurt, I lie, I cheat, I steal, I manipulate people who deserve it. I don't do it to just anyone. I do it to people who deserve it and who poke and prod and provoke. Because same thing with William. All you hear people do to try to fight their battles, record, screenshot, post. If your battle takes fingers movements and that's it, you're weak mentally. Because my kids or my son is in my arm. So there is always a visual reminder. And people still got to realize That insult has sailed with me. I'll write insults for you to tell me about my own traumas, to see your delivery like it's comedy. All I ask for people is to give me something original. Give me an insult. Bring up a trauma. Hell, word, even if it's something new or not new, word it creatively that makes me at least go, damn, no. Call me a coward? Overused, overplayed. Call me childish names? Been there, done that. At some point, there are worse people that are going to enter the world and going to be worse people than me, and those terms used for them won't mean as much because it's used on me. Just like when Catherine and all of them talk about love. They talk about love after knowing someone for a few. Catherine, a dick down your throat because you're on a ventilator doesn't count as love. Went from Cam to Travis. That's not love. That's desperation. That's loneliness. Because in order to put up with someone threatening your life and your safety when they don't even live where you're at, to be a glutton for punishment claiming you don't like them, bitch, you lie. Once again, I know this from experience. I saw this firsthand. You don't hate Travis or hated Cam for all the drama. You hated that eventually someone like me was going to come along, tell you what was going on, me being right. And what happens? You listen and then you fuck it up. Because you eventually know you're going to burn this bridge. Because you're going to become selfish. You're going to become a snake. You're going to try to be a second-rate, bootleg, knockoff, Timu, delusional, narcissistic, hypocritical Queen Ripsaw. You can't. You couldn't be a queen if you lost 200 pounds or gained it. You couldn't be a queen because you can't even be a jack. You can't even be a 10, a 9. You can't even help yourself. So how are you going to be a queen and help the people in your queendom? You can't. I still have promised to give people sanctuary. But all you're doing is weeding yourself out. Natural selection. You're proving you're not fit. You, that bum leg and that failing kidneys, and your mom in an abusive relationship with your stepfather, being a human punching bag, getting scammed for money on the internet, while your dad wanted nothing to do with you directly because you're over 40, you're getting middle-aged, and you can't help yourself. It's downhill from here. It's downhill from here, bitch. If you think things are bad now, if your community to help you is strictly online, how much better do you think they're going to be? Nope. Things are not going to get any better. Y'all delusional. And just like for example, right now, there is a good chance Kitka, Catherine, Ghost the deportee, or anyone is stalking. That's the age we live in. Because so many years ago, the only people that got stalkers were celebrities with paparazzi. Nowadays, you got stalkers, and you got more trolls than Lord of the Rings. But what are they going to do with this information? Nothing. It's the same thing that Catherine's going to do with everything else. Nothing. All the times she's been sexually assaulted, she's going to do nothing. All the times I called her a name, she's going to do nothing. All the miscarriages, what's she going to do? Nothing. All the traumas, nothing. She already lost a daughter, Ish, and Bianca, and what happened? Nothing. She'll put on a fake mask. But she does not realize everything she has ever told me or someone is out there. Hell, if only she knew what her mom knows that I know, she wouldn't be in this predicament. Because even look at everything else. Samantha already has 2 little brown kids running around, but in such a fragile emotional state. Ghost, this Mexican Hispanic wannabe gangster toothpick, has the audacity and the delusion to call himself Demon King and Demon Queen. They have no idea what or who the devil is. Hell, they probably haven't even been close enough to being deported to even meet the devil. And like I said, it's not a mental health community if you're throwing racial slurs. And here's how I know it's deluded people's minds. Because I tried to be civil. I tried to explain on someone else's stream, mind you. I get called the N-word by a girl who's whiter than her bleached asshole. And I get booted off his live because it was too much. That's what we call a white privilege, folks. I never knew that a snake that was so close to me turned out to be a racist. And then I find out how much of a xenophobe she is. But then, oh no, I have black friends on TikTok. It's on TikTok. You can put on a mask and fake it like you do orgasms. You can fake it. But like I said, it's at the point where actions don't measure up to any of the words. Because I don't start shit or bring up people's traumas until I've sat back long enough and heard people talk. That's all it is. Because I wouldn't have to bring up her kids until I was provoked. I wouldn't have brought up her traumas until I was provoked. It's not a first response, it's a last resort. It's a red flag for people because if I end up bringing up your traumas, that would mean we're at a point of war. A war you can't win, especially through a phone screen. But you see, if you notice, here's where math starts becoming a favorite in this battle. Because just take the main people in that community. Catherine, whichever boy toy she wants. Ghost, Sam, hell, Kyle, Jordan. That's 6. Let's take those 6 people. Give them 2 insults or name calling, whatever, to give me. 6 times 2, 12. That's 12 insults that I've heard 1,000 times before. But I'm not doing shit for them when it gets to that point. Because what keeps me going is when I scroll or look at my music or I see a post or anything, I see all the people that tells me facts. You tell them. Say it for the people in the back. Catherine, if you really want to win this war, here's the problem. You won't. But here's the conundrum to that. You will never win the war because you cannot take away my soldiers. And here's what I mean by that. There are way more followers, even if you just count TikTok. They all might not interact or comment or like. But you will never truly villainize me, even if I am the anti-hero. You will never truly make me an enemy and make people see me the way that you do. Because as long as there's still at least 3 comments that tell me how I'm an inspiration, as long as there are people dropping heart emojis on my comments or give me props for being honest on my rants or my cryptic wisdoms, you lose. Because that's where my followers come to play. Because I use the term pawns, but I'm not using them because they actually have worth that hold their own weight. Everyone do not realize, friend or foe, to a certain point, you just become another piece on my chessboard. A chessboard of help and therapy that people then make into a battleground. But everything's a domino effect. Jester only became an insecure little scrawny sex offending man whore because people on his side of the fence got caught in the crosshairs and became collateral to my chaos. So then he lumped himself in guilty by association. Same thing with many others. Jester did that. Several others did that. Ashley did that. Mark did that. Several others. Which is why I stopped trusting people. I had to reevaluate. I want to see where people do with their own life and their own fate in their hands. Before, I was guiding people, offering wisdom when I could. But now, I'm letting you take the wheel and see what happens without my wisdom. Because by the time I build a kingdom, I'm going to see who's fit to live in it. Little spoiler, not even half of you are. That's just how it is. But like I said, I'm not doing this for me, because I talk about proving enemies wrong. But as long as I'm breathing, I've already done that. As long as people talk shit behind a screen and not drive down this driveway and get up in my backyard boxing ring, I win. If people resort to the same insults and call me the same nicknames I've heard my entire life, a coward and all this, man whore, whatever, look at me. Does it look like it hinders me? People couldn't hold me down all 14 times I've been homeless. I still rose above it. People couldn't keep me down in any of the 27 psych unit stays. People couldn't keep me down when my stepdad dislocated my jaw. People couldn't still hold me down when I got my teeth knocked out by an abusive, narcissistic, wannabe black guy for verbally berating and abusing his pregnant wife, mother-in-law, mother, girlfriend, whatever, the mother of his kid. People couldn't hold me down when I got blackmailed because I was on the right side of an issue by kids who were sheltered and will never understand. Courtney, Jade, Samantha. People couldn't hold me down when my ex's mother, Tammy, resorted to talking to a Ouija board to talk shit about me. Raggedy Ann bitch meets Annabelle. People couldn't hold me down all the times I've been shot at, remotely stabbed, or mugged in the street. People couldn't hold me down when people have tried to use rape allegations to take away my fame, to take away careers. Didn't work. How do I know those allegations are false? Because I'm still here, not locked up, and I don't have lawyer money, so therefore, people are absurd. People weren't holding me down when I've been freezing, nearly hypothermia. People didn't hold me down all the times hospitals have tried to accidentally overdose me with meds. Why do you think some 200+ pound, bum-legged disappointment of a human being and her minion online keyboard warring cohorts are enough to keep me down? In 3 years, 2 years, whatever time, in a certain time frame, that all their problems are going to fade. And if you somehow hold a crutch onto me long enough, if you still hold that grudge and that aggression for over a year, then right there, without me saying it, your actions have shown you have nothing better to preoccupy your mind with. And if I'm living rent free in your head like that, I basically own your brain. Checkmate. Because, like I said, it's easier for people to type than it is to talk shit in person. And I get it. I'd be nervous and hesitant too if I had to hobble around with that delusional mind that Catherine has to carry. I'd be hesitant too if someone offered me the chance to have a fair fight to squash beef. I'd be nervous too. Because everything I'm doing, even through a screen, there's actions tied to it. The same it cannot be said for Catherine and the whole community, named after lily pad, which has no significance for those assholes. None. Because, like I said, look at how someone's emotions and volatile words have already buried themselves. She called me the N-word when she's wider than fucking paper. Not as thin, but whiter than paper. Not wide, white. Both apply though. Which means that clip, other than being in my hands and on the dark web, is out there. Which means at some point, someone's going to find that clip of some racist, xenophobic, overweight, trailer park trash white bitch calling a darker complexioned man the N-word. What do you think is the aftermath when that arises on its own naturally through the future? Because last I checked, we seen what happens when you become racially and racist and insensitive and you're a celebrity. They basically hang you in public. But to be a nobody with a community that's not even a community, what do you think they'll do to you when they find out you're a racist? And you have black friends, which means the moment they become enemies of Catherine's going to be calling people darker than me the N-word. Hell, she's called me a terrorist. Heard that one before. She called me a sand N-word. Once again, heard that one before. Talked about how I build bombs because I'm Middle Eastern. Once again, heard that before. So, her ammo clip is empty. Got nothing new to say. But like I said, I get it. I would so waste all my time and energy to be so pissed off and say everything to someone who you thought would have considered a friend. When I didn't realize she's been leeching off what I'm trying to build. She's been lying, manipulating, twisting everything to her friends, and my community. So the funniest thing is, it's a matter about numbers. All the posts that Catherine can make about me, all the times I've been called a coward, all the times I get called a name. 20 of her racist comments get outweighed and overshadowed by the 2 people on my TikToks that say they look up to me. So I'm looking at it like this. It doesn't matter how many people hate me. If you love me, I am great. But if you hate me, I am even greater. I will not be fueled by adulation. I will be fueled by all the racist, all the hate, all the delusionals, all the sheep, all the keyboard warriors. I will be fueled by that. And then where the positives come into play is that they balance it out. That is balance. Because you look at everything through Catherine's racial comments, all her sexual abuse, her toxic relationships, her failed family, her health problems, her criminal history, all her kidneys failing, her family falling apart, a community that isn't really a community, all her facade, her fake attitude she can put on just being on TikTok, that fake alpha female attitude. That's fine. That's not going to do anything for her. She's not a mental health advocate. She's a racist, xenophobic, delusional, two-faced, overweight, overbearing, delusional snake and coward. Gutless, spineless coward. But for all the people that still look up to me, that I inspire, because remember, I didn't ask for this. But if I'm going to have this pedestal, I'll make do with what I can. But for all the people in the past that have said facts, or it's been on my side, or that hearts my videos, or that thirst over me still, despite the piece of shit I can be, those are the people I do this for. Because those people don't know me intimately enough to turn on me. I will win this war because Catherine and that whole community, they can't badmouth me and an entire following that I have at once. They don't have the manpower, they don't have the philosophy or the wisdom for it. For every comment and every time that Catherine has said the N-word, it's another follower of mine that looks up to me because I'm blunt, because I'm authentic. When I say I'm genuine, that's not because I'm all saint. No, I'm a sinner. I'm a piece of shit. I'm an asshole. The funny thing is, I'm an asshole that knows it. Me being a piece of shit and a mass manipulator has got me to where I'm at. This is not a simulation. This is not a movie. This is real life. The best part of that is Catherine and many others, the moment you start a fight with me, the moment you start a war, I may not spam post everything about you. I'll make a diss track, I'll go on one of these, and I'll leave it at that. Let's simmer. But I'm not going to go post for post for post. comment for comment, talking shit. I don't need to do all that. Because the loudest in the room are the weakest, not with how long you talk, but with what you say as well. Catherine and them are not going to win this battle because they're forgetting I'm not the only one leading the charge. You would have to then insult, antagonize, eradicate everyone that I know. You would have to eradicate my friends, my family, my grandparents over in Egypt. You would have to eradicate and insult everyone that looks up to me for anything you do or say has any weight to it. But then you end up becoming me. Because then you would be insulting a bunch of people who are innocent, who are allowed to have their viewpoints. You've then manipulated yourself. And then you continue on this battle to talk shit, to talk mess, to raise your voice to me, to call me whatever name you can, to call me the N-word again, to be racist, to be xenophobic. But that doesn't matter. Because everything you're doing, I've been doing. Every emotional nerve you hit on or try to hit, I've done that. All these psychological games you think you're playing, I've done that. I've won them. I've done this. I've heard everything. I've been through everything. Done that. Racism? Check. Your xenophobia? Check. Threats? Check. Pulling up? Check. Call me a coward? Check. The best thing about this is you insult, you retaliate through online, you built a family, you tried to be someone's queen. Then you go and try to talk shit about someone. You've been through hell and use that as a crutch. That's starting to sound a lot familiar. But everything you're doing, it's truly pathetic. It's really sad. Everyone should be ashamed of you, Catherine, and here's why. Everything you're doing, everything you say, how you go about your business, everything. You're just turning into another Shadiah. You are just being another me, or trying to. The only difference is both of us may be pieces of shit, may be assholes, but all the insults you throw out, your attitude, this fake alpha female persona you got going, it doesn't work. Because everything you're doing, you're just being a fatter, older female version of me. So let me ask you this, Catherine, and you can ask your entire family this. Because the sad thing, even now, you don't realize it. That's why it's truly pathetic. You don't realize it, and you won't. And even if you try to start to feel like you're turning into me, there are still things in your past you can't erase. You can't take back the N-word. You can't. That blood's on your hands now. But let me ask you this, Catherine, and your entire community. How does it feel to be another version of me? How does it feel to be a fatter, more clinically insane, older female version of me? The only difference is you think you're a hero in everyone's story, when I know I am the villain in everyone's story. You aren't here to save people or help people. You're here to make yourself look good. With the knife wound in your leg, kidneys going down the drain, and skin getting older as you go through so much stress, you can't. You can't hold the weight. You think you can, but you can't. And here's how I know. You're a recovering addict, and you still can't live in a stable place. You still can't drive. You still can't live under one roof for long periods of time. You can't keep your family together. You can't keep your kids together. So once again, how does it feel to be another version of me? The best thing is if you go down this path, you can't handle the consequences of your actions. So Catherine, how does it feel going to bed at night when you're trying to help people, but you're just turning out to be another me? Because you created a monster in me that you end up turning yourself into one too, and you don't realize it. So look at me, because this is a mirror. How does it feel to, instead of trying to replace a queen, you just became another version of this king? But like I said, the only difference is you actually scratch that. You're trying to be a hero in your own story to save yourself. So how does it feel to be the hero that you created in your own story when you are acting like me, trying to be the villain in everyone else's? How does it feel to be another version of me? When you're ready to admit you're a piece of shit, like I know I'm a piece of shit, then you can pull up. That's if your kidneys don't take you out and have you meet God first.